Folks, I'm sorry. I know it's already the middle of the month and you didn't get your month ahead this month. It's been a crazy month for me. I was away when the month rolled around and the month changed and I didn't get the opportunity. And here we are halfway through the month and you didn't get your month ahead. So apologies again. I'll be giving you the month ahead with the full-on political review and everything as usual at the beginning of next month. But in the meanwhile, here in the middle of March, let's have a look just briefly at a little bit of advice for each of your zodiac signs and for you, your own personal month ahead to get us through to the end of the month. I'm going to start off though by saying something about the upcoming eclipse. There is, of course, an eclipse on the 14th of March, visible mostly in the United States, not really visible in South Africa. If you're up in the very small hours of the morning, you might see some last part of the partial eclipse, I think. But mostly it's daytime here when it's nighttime there. And to see a lunar eclipse, you need to be somewhere where it's nighttime, and then you'll see it. It's been called blood red. Just to remind you, all eclipses vary between whitish brown and dark brownish red. It's unpredictable as to what they're going to be. That is an atmospheric effect. It's not an actual lunar effect. So there's no such thing really as a blood red moon, or they're all blood red moons. But the important thing is it's an eclipse. It's an incredible show of nature. In astrology, they're regarded as bad omens. But hey, bad omens, especially for people in power. I think there's enough of those who we can be fine with having a bad omen or two. That's the eclipse. Let's have a look at what's due for the rest of the month for you. Aries, this is quite a challenging month for you, as you no doubt have noticed. This is a time for spending more time alone and kind of whether you like it or not. You might be feeling a bit isolated, you might be feeling even a bit lonely, and it is a great opportunity for not only self-reflecting, but for having a look at some of the things you've kind of swept under the carpet and been ignoring for a while. All the signs have been there, but you've been managing to avoid them. Your environment is now no longer the supportive environment that you might have been accustomed to for a little while. So that's what is the occasion for this greater self-reflection that you need to have a look at. There's obstacles and there's a bit of baggage that you're carrying in your life that is very difficult to address but needs you to face. So have a look at some of those limitations that are probably coming to you out of a sense of duty, responsibility, obligation, but might also be coming to you because you've been a little bit blinkered about something. You haven't been looking at something properly. You've been quite conservative in your view, you're limited, narrowed your view, and that might be actually causing some problems. So take this opportunity, time spent alone, to kind of clear out the old baggage and do a little bit of a reset before you get to your own birthday month next month. Taurus, it could be a little bit of a, one step forward, one step back kind of month, but believe it or not, even with that, you can still make some progress. It's also a great idea for you to be looking at baggage you're carrying or like old stuff and old methods that you might be dragging along, and that's why things aren't really working for you at the moment. It seems that you are weighing yourself down with unnecessaries or with fears or with blame on others, blame on anything except yourself. This is a great opportunity to let go of old stuff, to identify the uselessness and the meaninglessness of the things that you've been dragging along as serious problems and limitations and other issues that might have been the reason why you have reluctant, if you like, to step forward. And it's time to reset your idea of yourself. This is a great opportunity to kind of redefine yourself, not necessarily in a huge, big way, but just decide to see yourself a little bit differently, to do things a little bit differently, to go ahead in a way that you might not have done before and liberate yourself from the past. Going forward will become much easier. Geminis, things can be a little bit all over the place at the moment, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's really just indicating it's time to take a different approach to the situation that you find yourself in, the goals that you're dealing with. In terms of goals, that different approach is being more lateral, take an innovative approach to solving the problems or planning the strategies. And you need to use your imagination. That's what's so important at the moment. Sometimes you get so fixed on your ideas and your great ability to communicate them and develop them as intellectual ideas that you're not allowing some of the sensitivity that imagination provides. So be more imaginative in your work environment. This is a great opportunity to benefit from that. In your personal environment, it means another perspective is needed. You might also be seeing things in such a linear kind of way. This causes that, and this is why that you're failing to understand the whole situation. So again, take a lateral approach, take a broader view, take an imaginative approach, understand things in a different way than you usually do. You'll crack it, you'll go forward with ease. Cancerians, how it is that you get yourself caught up into like handling other people's stuff and worrying about their stuff and being responsible for them. Well, maybe that's that famous parental kind of instinct that you've got that gets you into those situations. But we can afford to be a little bit more selfish at this time. Not selfish in a bad way, just getting your priorities in order. Right now, the environment around you is not highly supportive of where you're trying to get to at this time. So maybe a bit of a re-strategize, a rethink, a change of how you're doing things. Environment is not necessarily just the physical environment. It usually actually refers to the people around you. So you need to look at the people around you and ask yourself, am I allowing myself to be exploited, even if they don't mean to do anything bad? I'm being willing, I'm taking responsibility, I'm worrying about others. And the chart says you're kind of getting used, even if no one has got bad intentions. So that's what I mean by being more selfish. In your relationships, a similar thing could be happening. You're kind of putting yourself second in situations where there really isn't any need for that. And you might be unbalancing or weakening the relationship a little bit at this time. So take a more self-centered approach, self-centered in a good way. It's going to make it work for everyone. Leo, you've been going through a lot of the kind of torn between home and work and personal versus professional and all of these on and off for the last few months. And it looks like it's still ongoing now. I mean, if we look at your charts, Leo, this is really the time to be getting back to your roots or building your roots or building your foundation in some way. Yes, work is going to be very demanding and you're going to have to give your energy to it because this is a great time to further your success. So it would be stupid not to. You're being seen, you're being acknowledged, you might be being recognized depending on the kind of thing that you're doing, but you can't afford to let that slide. But what you need to do is back it up with making your foundation very solid. Make sure you're standing on firm ground. And best way to do that is through the home, through the family, through the things that make you feel like your old self that you've always known your whole life long. For the most part, this is a really beneficial period. If you get that balance right, everything really works. There's very little acting as an obstacle other than yourself kind of wasting some of that energy. They aren't even really real tangible obstacles. So get your own house in order, keep your eye on the professional ball though, and everything works out for you. Virgo, you could be stuck in a rut, but even if you aren't, it's time for a whole different approach in your professional, in your personal, wherever it might be that you're stuck in a rut or you're stuck in not really noticing it until maybe I've said it. And you think about, yeah, might be secure, routine and familiarity and all of those, but what it really appears to be is a lot of hard work when a lot of hard play should be happening as well. So that's why it's kind of stuck in a rut. It's a little bit like being overproductive. You're great at productivity, but you can get too much of a good thing. So, Virgos, this is a time to introduce more play, more fun, and especially more creativity, even to do the work that you're doing now, even to succeed at the goals and everything else that's on your table. This is the time to take an altogether approach by being more creative. Creative doesn't just mean artistic. Creative can mean simply putting your energy into it. Make sure it's your solutions, imposing yourself on the world, and most importantly of all, doing things you love. Virgos need to be asking yourself, am I loving it? And if not, time for a new strategy. Librans might be feeling a tiny bit sorry for yourself at the moment, or even if you're not really feeling sorry for yourself, you can look at your situation and be thinking, How did I get myself into this? And that is a great question. But that means you can get yourself out of it. What is this? Well, for most Librans, it look like some kind of routine or some kind of it's like doing tasks and things where you find yourself not really being able to do what you want, do what you like, do what's best for you. And it's just a kind of a rat race, not necessarily moving very fast. But it's just one of those things of I've got to break out of this so I can get more satisfaction out of what I'm doing. So, Librans, that means you need to be selfish. And although selfishness is not one of your strongest characteristics, it just really means making sure you're pursuing your own goals and your own priorities, as well as all the stuff that you find that you or feel that you have to do right now. Because not all of it is controllable right now. You may have obligations that have gotten you into this situation. A little bit of self-reflection, opportunity to let go of the things that because you want to keep other people happy, you have found yourself doing it. Stop keeping them happy. Keep yourself happy. It'll be a much better month. Scorpio, kind of there's a lot going on about relationships this month, and whatever else you might have on the go, it's going to turn out to be the relationships are what need attention. That's both personal relationships and family relationships kind of get a special mention, but all relationships are going to be that. In both personal and family, and maybe especially family, there seems to be a little bit of stress and strain and maybe even conflict going on. That's especially with family members, at your own generational level, but it could be with others, but it's primarily with them. So could be that you're not saying what you're really feeling and you're getting a little bit tense and a little bit resentful, any of those kind of things. Could be that they aren't, but you do need to discharge some of that tense energy in the family relationships. In the personal relationships, the one-to-one romantic kind of relationships, there's an intensity that your partner will experience from you not spitting it out, not saying something. You might know that it's a trivial thing. So if you say something, you're going to create a mountain out of a molehill. Well, then rather say something and own up that it's a trivial thing. And say, I just need to get this out of my head. It's like bugging me or something like that. But a lot about your chart is release this energy that you're holding pent up inside you and that can be causing unnecessary harm because there's lots of love to go around. Sagittarius, sometimes we all need a bit of a month off, and it would be great if you could somehow manage to do that because it could just seem that either nothing is working quite right for you, not necessarily in an earth-shatteringly terrible way. I mean, thankfully, not in an earth-shattering way. And it could just be that you're not getting the results and the rewards that you should be based on what you're doing. And that could also be time to kind of reassess. Am I putting out too much and not getting enough back in? So it could boil down to money could even be a little bit of a problem itself. So this is a time to kind of sort out financial things and make sure that in terms of rewards coming back, well, you're also looking at the financial situation. In your chart, it looks like a lot more outgoing than incoming, or simply good old-fashioned waste. So that's why best thing this month is just kind of pull back a little bit, disengage a little bit, and especially make sure you're not overspending, overdoing, just letting out too much of that energy. Sagittarians, go and take a chill somewhere, enjoy yourself with the Librans who trying to have more fun in Virgos, I should say, who trying to have more fun in their lives at the moment. And next month is going to be a lot better. Capricorns, this is also the time for you to kind of give yourself a bit of a shake up, make things a little bit different for yourself because the energy is good in your chart right now. So that means you can look further afield, get some new input, get some very different kind of input than you might have gotten before, and use that along with whatever other ideas you've got up your sleeve to kind of reshape what some of your goals are all about at this time. It's very much a time to create new goals for yourself. And fortunately for you, there's lots of new input that is going to be able to help you do that. You do need to break out of some established old patterns to do so. A lot of us are facing that problem during the course of this month. It's all about breaking old patterns. So this is an opportunity to do that, especially since you've got good things coming in instead of those old patterns, and that's all that new input from elsewhere. I mean, if you can't get new input, go out and find it. It's a great time for traveling, for exploring new territories, for taking a different route to work, even if it's as simple as that. But by putting yourself into different situations, exposing yourself to new information and new people, you're going to get the input you need to make a difference in your own life. Aquarius, this is a great time for setting goals, for taking a kind of single-minded approach to pursuing those goals, but also to making sure that there's a bigger perspective or a bigger meaning. You know, your sign, you're people who like to make a difference in the world, or even simply look at the world and often see how it could be better. Might not be up to you to make those difference. And hey, bit of delegating to other people is all good. But the point is, there really needs to be that bigger meaning, that bigger sense to what you do for you to give it, to have a good sense of purpose to do it. So those are the two things you need to be working on, making sure that there's opportunities to pursue ideals, making sure that your goals are aligned with those bigger ideals, that they will help you achieve some of those bigger ideals that you like, and then go out there and either doing it or delegating it, but very clearly establishing what it is. All goals, not only professional goals, benefit from a time like this. So whatever it is, line it up. Now's the time to go for it. And it's possible that you might also be getting help from some folks around you, which is also a good thing. It's a great time to kind of be roping them in. But important thing, don't lose sight of what your ideal is about. Don't allow others' input to define what these goals are about. This is the time for you to do it. And anyone who wants to come along for the ride, that's great. Pisces, you should be finding your birthday month pretty smooth going. I mean, stuff happens, but it does seem as if you've shifted into a gear this month where old plans, things on the back burner, whatever, are easily and comfortably finding their way to get fulfilled at this time. It looks like it's a great time for things you've had intentions about for a long time to actually be pursued, put on the table in front of you, and maybe some new things and new big ideas. Birthday month is always a great time to set new goals and to have big ideas. And your chart this month is all about having great big new ideas. You often suffer from the problem of they're a little bit fantastical, they might not be related to reality too much. And this is one of those times to just allow yourself to stretch it and don't worry too much about reality, because things are falling in place with all the little goals. That's reality taking care of itself. Now is the time to create a bigger picture, to create a plan for yourself for the year ahead. This is your year ahead because, March is primarily your birthday month. And it's going to be reasonably easy to find ways to make those things really happen. Have some goals that satisfy your need to be beneficial and helpful and useful to the world. Those kind of goals are really going to work for you this year. Have fun. Good luck.